Before November ends, the quantum field will reveal something to you, not as vague possibility or spiritual platitude, but as undeniable direct experience that proves consciousness creates reality, that observation collapses probability waves, that you're not separate from the intelligence organizing circumstances around your evolution. This isn't prediction based on astrology or channeling. This is recognition of quantum mechanics operating in your life right now, building toward revelation moment that will occur before this month closes. Moment when field will show you so clearly that reality responds to consciousness that you'll never be able to dismiss it as coincidence again. You've been feeling the build-up, haven't you? That sense of something approaching, some recognition or breakthrough or shift that's been gathering momentum throughout recent weeks. The synchronicities have been intensifying, the intuitive hits becoming more frequent and accurate, the sense that reality is becoming more responsive to your thoughts and observations. This isn't your imagination creating meaning where none exists. This is quantum field preparing you for specific revelation it will deliver before November ends, organizing circumstances to demonstrate its responsive nature so powerfully that your rational mind won't be able to explain it away. The quantum field operates in cycles and windows, periods when veils thin, when consciousness can perceive mechanisms usually invisible, when demonstrations of quantum principles become undeniable. November is closing one such window, and before it closes completely, field will show everyone who's reached sufficient readiness, something that proves beyond doubt that consciousness and reality aren't separate, that observation affects observed, that you're participating in creating experience rather than passively witnessing predetermined events. Right now, reading these words, you're in preparation phase. Field is calibrating your consciousness to receive revelation optimally, organizing your awareness to recognize what will be shown when it appears. The fact that you found this transmission at this specific time isn't coincidence. Field guided you here to prepare you consciously for what it will reveal unconsciously, to give you framework for understanding the demonstration when it occurs, so you won't miss its significance or dismiss it as random synchronicity. The revelation won't be identical for everyone. Quantum field customizes demonstrations to each consciousness based on what that consciousness needs to recognize. What would be most convincing given its unique skepticism patterns? What would catalyze greatest evolutionary leap? Some will receive revelation through synchronicity so precise it can't be dismissed. Others through intuitive knowing that proves accurate in ways logic couldn't predict. Others through direct perception of reality construction happening in real time. The form varies, but purpose is same, proving to consciousness that it's not separate, powerless observer, but is active participant in quantum process of manifestation. Here's what makes timing critical. These revelation windows don't stay open indefinitely. Field opens them when cosmic conditions align, when collective consciousness reaches frequencies that make demonstrations possible, when individual consciousness has been sufficiently prepared. The window that's closing at November's end won't reopen in same configuration. If you miss revelation field is preparing to show you, you'll have to wait for entirely different window under different conditions, which could be months or years depending on your consciousness trajectory and collective timing. You've been prepared systematically through everything you've experienced in recent weeks and months. Every challenge that forced you to question consensus reality. Every synchronicity that made you wonder if reality responds to consciousness. Every moment of expanded awareness that showed you perception isn't fixed. All of it was preparation for what field will reveal before November ends, building your capacity to recognize and integrate demonstration when it appears without fragmenting or dismissing. What I'm about to reveal is what the quantum field will show you before November ends. Why this specific timing matters. How to recognize revelation when it appears so you don't miss it. And what changes after you receive direct proof that consciousness creates reality rather than just observing it. This isn't abstract philosophy to contemplate. This is preparation for specific experience that will occur in your life within days. Experience that will prove quantum principles aren't theoretical, but are actual mechanisms operating in your existence constantly. You've been experiencing precursor phenomena throughout November that prove quantum field has been building toward revelation it will deliver before month ends. Signs that demonstrate field is already showing you glimpses of its responsive nature, preparing you to recognize full demonstration when it arrives. The synchronicities have been clustering with unusual intensity, especially in past weeks. You think about someone and they contact you same day multiple times. You need specific information and it appears through unconnected channels within hours. You wonder about something. An answer manifests so quickly the timing feels orchestrated rather than coincidental. This clustering isn't random probability. It's quantum field deliberately increasing synchronicity frequency to train your recognition that reality responds to consciousness, building your trust so you'll recognize the major revelation when it arrives. You've noticed that when you observe specific situation with clear intention or expectation, outcomes tend to match what you observed more frequently than probability would predict. Not every time, but often enough that dismissing pattern as coincidence requires ignoring obvious correlation. This correlation is quantum field demonstrating observer effect in your daily life, showing you that observation isn't passive, but effects observed, preparing you for revelation that will make this mechanism undeniable. There have been moments of prescience that proved accurate. You knew something would happen before logical evidence suggested it, and it happened exactly as you knew. You sensed specific person would reach out, and they did. You felt certain about outcome that logic said was uncertain, and it manifested as you sensed. These accurate knowings are quantum field, giving you direct access to information before it manifests physically, demonstrating that consciousness can perceive probability waves before they collapse into material reality. Perhaps most striking has been the way your thoughts seem to manifest faster than they used to. Shorter lag time between thinking about something and it appearing in circumstances, between wondering about something and encountering it, between needing something and it materializing. This acceleration is quantum field compressing the gap between observation and manifestation deliberately, making the correlation obvious enough that you can't miss it when full revelation comes. You've experienced unusual dreams this month that felt more real than ordinary dreams. Dreams where you received specific information, encountered specific people, or experienced scenarios that then manifested in waking life within days. These aren't random dream content, they're quantum field using dream state when your conscious filters are inactive to show you probability waves before they collapse, giving you previews of what it's preparing to reveal in waking consciousness. There's also been increasing sense that you're being guided or orchestrated. Decisions you make lead to unexpected perfect timing. Paths you choose open opportunities you couldn't have planned. Choices that seemed random connect you with exactly right people or circumstances. This feeling of orchestration is accurate perception. Quantum field has been organizing reality around your consciousness evolution, and the organization has been intensifying as November progresses toward revelation moment. Physical sensations have accompanied these experiences. Tingling when synchronicities occur, energy shifts when intuitive hits prove accurate, felt sense of something activating or aligning when you recognize patterns. These sensations aren't psychosomatic imagination. They're your energy system detecting quantum fields' increased activity in your life, responding to heightened frequency that's building toward revelation. You might also have noticed that certain numbers keep appearing, especially sequences like 1111, 333, 444, with frequency that feels impossible to dismiss as selective attention. These number patterns are quantum field's way of getting your attention repeatedly, marking moments as significant, confirming, yes, something real is happening. You're not imagining the increasing responsiveness you're perceiving. Everything you've experienced throughout this year and especially recent months has been quantum field preparing you systematically for revelation it will deliver before November ends, developing your capacity to recognize demonstration when it appears, building your trust that consciousness affects reality, dissolving your attachment to purely materialist explanations that would prevent you from accepting what will be shown. The challenges you faced earlier this year weren't random difficulties or evidence that universe doesn't care about you. They were quantum field creating specific pressure that would force you to question consensus reality explanations, to seek beyond material paradigm, to become receptive to recognizing that consciousness plays active role in creating experience. Without those challenges creating cracks in your materialist worldview, you wouldn't be ready to receive and integrate what field will reveal in November. Your spiritual seeking that intensified or emerged this year was quantum field responding to detecting. You were ready for expanded understanding. It created pull toward exploration by organizing synchronicities that caught your attention, by delivering information through unexpected channels, by orchestrating meetings with people who pointed you toward quantum consciousness concepts. The seeking wasn't random personal decision. It was field preparing you for November revelation by exposing you to frameworks that would help you understand what would be demonstrated. The synchronicities you've experienced throughout the year were training sequence. Quantum field showing you repeatedly that reality responds to consciousness in small ways, so you'd recognize the pattern and be ready when it demonstrates in large, undeniable way. Each synchronicity was data point proving correlation between internal state and external manifestation, building evidence that would prevent you from dismissing November revelation as coincidence. Even your doubts and skepticism served the preparation. Quantum field allowed you to question, to demand proof, to resist accepting claims without direct evidence, because the revelation it's preparing will satisfy that skepticism by providing proof you can't argue with. If you'd accepted everything without questioning, November demonstration wouldn't have same impact. Your resistance ensured you'd recognize revelation as genuine when it arrives, rather than as belief you adopted without verification. The people who entered your life this year, especially those who introduced you to quantum consciousness concepts or validated experiences, consensus reality would dismiss. They weren't random encounters, but were quantum fields orchestration, placing specific people in your path at specific times to prepare you for specific recognition. Their purpose was preparing you for November revelation by giving you language and framework for what you'd experience. Looking back now, you can probably trace clear progression throughout the year. Growing awareness that something more than materialism explains reality. Increasing evidence that consciousness affects circumstances, building recognition that you're not separate, powerless observer, but active participant in manifestation process. This progression wasn't coincidental development. It was systematic preparation, orchestrated by quantum field building toward revelation climax in November. Your entire year has been countdown to this moment. Quantum field, preparing you through experiences carefully calibrated to your unique skepticism patterns, your specific consciousness configuration, your particular developmental needs. November revelation is culmination, not beginning. Everything before was preparation, ensuring you'd be ready to receive, recognize, and integrate what will be shown without fragmenting or dismissing. Right now, as you engage with information about November revelation, quantum field is making final preparations, measuring your current readiness, determining optimal form for demonstration specific to your consciousness, organizing circumstances that will deliver revelation in way you'll recognize unquestionably. Can you feel the energy building as you read? That's not just excitement about possibility. That's actual quantum field activation intensifying as you focus attention on what's approaching. The next days before November ends are critical calibration period. Field is watching how you respond to knowing revelation is coming, measuring whether you're maintaining openness or collapsing into skeptical dismissal, determining based on your consciousness state right now exactly what form demonstration should take to be most convincing given your unique resistance patterns. Your response to this transmission is being read in real time and affecting what you'll receive. There's something both exciting and unsettling about knowing revelation is approaching. Part of you wants proof that consciousness creates reality and will feel validated when field demonstrates it. But another part resists, because accepting that observation affects observed means accepting responsibility for everything you experience, means you can't blame external circumstances anymore, means comfortable victim position where you're not responsible for your reality becomes untenable. The quantum field will show you revelation before November ends, regardless of whether you consciously prepare. But conscious preparation affects how clearly you recognize demonstration when it appears versus dismissing it as coincidence. The field will deliver proof either way, but whether you receive it as proof or miss its significance depends entirely on whether you're watching for it with recognition that something meaningful is being shown. What I'm about to reveal in next section is exactly what quantum field will demonstrate before November ends. Not vague generalities, but specific mechanisms it will prove. Precise ways it will show you that consciousness affects reality. Clear forms the demonstration might take, so you recognize it when it appears. But before that revelation, field is asking through your recognition right now. Are you ready to receive proof and accept implications? Because once you see demonstration clearly, you can't unsee it, can't return to comfortable belief that you're powerless observer of independent reality. 3 Novembers ago, quantum field showed me demonstration that destroyed my materialist worldview completely and irrevocably, proving beyond any doubt I could manufacture that consciousness creates reality rather than passively observing it. I'd been exploring quantum consciousness concepts intellectually for months, reading about observer effect and probability wave collapse, but it remained theoretical. Interesting ideas I couldn't verify directly. Then in final week of November 3 years ago, field delivered proof I couldn't dismiss. I was facing crucial decision about job opportunity that required relocating to different city. Logically, it made perfect sense. Better position, higher pay, career advancement. But something in me felt profound resistance despite logical benefits, felt wrong at level I couldn't articulate or justify rationally. For days I agonized, trying to decide through pros and cons lists and logical analysis that all pointed toward accepting offer. Then one night I decided to test quantum mechanics. If consciousness really affects reality, if observation really collapses probability waves, then field should be able to show me clear answer. I sat in meditation and asked quantum field directly, show me undeniable sign before November ends whether I should take this job or not. Make it so obvious I can't miss it or explain it away. I specified that I needed sign within 5 days before month ended, and it had to be something impossible to dismiss as coincidence or confirmation bias. Then I released the request and went about my life trying not to obsess about waiting for sign. 3 days later, I received email from person I hadn't been in contact with for over 5 years. Someone who had no logical reason to reach out, no way of knowing about job decision I was facing, no connection to either city involved. The email said simply, I don't know why I felt compelled to contact you, but I had overwhelming intuition you're facing major decision and shouldn't follow the logical path. Trust your gut feeling over analysis. This message probably makes no sense, but I had to send it. The timing, the specificity, the impossibility of coincidence, it was undeniable demonstration that quantum field had received my request and responded. But the demonstration didn't stop there. Same day I received that email, I encountered 3 separate instances of the name of the city where job was located, overheard in conversation, on license plate, in random article I was reading. Each occurrence had strange quality of being highlighted, of demanding attention, of feeling orchestrated. Then later that evening, I opened book at random page and first sentence I read was about paths that seem logical but lead away from authentic calling. The clustering of these precise messages within single day made coincidence explanation absurd. I declined the job offer, trusting the demonstration quantum field had delivered. Within 2 weeks, I was offered completely different opportunity in my current city. One that hadn't existed when I was agonizing over original decision. One that perfectly matched my actual calling rather than just career logic. One that proved to be exactly right path, even though it wasn't visible when I was trying to decide through rational analysis. The field had known, had shown me, and had orchestrated reality to deliver what I truly needed once I trusted the guidance over logic. That November demonstration 3 years ago transformed everything about how I understand consciousness and reality. It proved quantum field isn't abstract concept, but is actual intelligence actively organizing circumstances, responding to consciousness, demonstrating its responsive nature when asked directly. From that point forward, I couldn't maintain materialist worldview. I'd received proof through direct experience that couldn't be dismissed or explained away through conventional frameworks. What I'm sharing now is recognition that quantum field delivers these demonstrations not randomly, but during specific windows when conditions align optimally. November is one such window, and field is preparing to show similar demonstrations to everyone who's reached readiness. Proof customized to each consciousness that will be as undeniable for you as my experience was for me. You don't have to take my word for it. Field will prove itself to you directly before month ends. Subscribe to this channel because everything here is about direct verification rather than belief. Recognizing that quantum principles aren't just theories, but are actual mechanisms operating in your life. Learning to detect and work with field intelligence consciously rather than hoping and believing without evidence. November demonstration will prove what I'm pointing toward, and subsequent content will help you develop conscious relationship with field intelligence that's orchestrating reality around your evolution. Now, the revelation about what quantum field will specifically demonstrate before November ends. It will prove to you beyond reasonable doubt that observation effects observed by collapsing probability wave in response to your conscious focused attention in way you'll recognize as impossible coincidence. The demonstration will come through either synchronicity so precise that timing alone proves orchestration, or through intuitive knowing that proves accurate despite no logical basis, or through direct manifestation of something you observed as potential before it manifested physically. But regardless of form, it will prove consciousness and reality interact rather than being separate. Here's exactly what to watch for in remaining November days. Field will respond to specific question, need, or intention you're holding by organizing circumstances to address it so directly that correlation can't be missed. If you consciously ask field for demonstration, which I recommend doing explicitly, it will deliver within November's remaining time in form customized to your skepticism. Whatever would most convince you, specifically given your unique resistance patterns. The more specific your request, the more precise the demonstration. The shocking truth most people resist. Field is already orchestrating reality around you constantly, responding to your consciousness continuously. But until you recognize the pattern consciously, you dismiss each instance as coincidence rather than recognizing it as demonstration of quantum mechanism. November demonstration will be intense enough, precise enough, undeniable enough that your rational mind won't be able to dismiss it, forcing conscious recognition of what's been operating unconsciously all along. Here's the mechanism field will demonstrate. Your observation of specific possibility or outcome creates resonance with that probability wave in quantum field. Field responds to detecting your observation by increasing likelihood of that probability wave collapsing into manifestation. When you observe repeatedly or intensely, which focusing attention does, field responds by making that specific probability dominant, making its manifestation inevitable unless you shift observation to different probability. What will be demonstrated in November is this responsive mechanism operating, so obviously you recognize it. Most revolutionary recognition field wants you to grasp through demonstration. You're not powerless observer, hoping and wishing for external reality to give you what you want. You're active participant in probability wave collapse, through where you direct sustained observation. The field responds to what you observe, not what you merely want or hope for. If you observe lack while wanting abundance, field manifests lack, because that's what you're actually observing despite what you say you want. The demonstration before November ends will prove this so clearly you'll recognize. Your sustained observation, conscious focus on specific outcome or possibility makes field collapse probability waves toward that outcome, making it manifest in physical reality, often within days or weeks depending on observation intensity and coherence. This isn't law of attraction platitude. This is quantum mechanics operating in your daily life, proving observation is creative, not passive. Here's how to maximize November demonstration so you don't miss it. Consciously ask field to show you proof before month ends that consciousness affects reality. Be specific about what form proof should take that would convince you personally. Then watch carefully for responses, recognizing that field might deliver in unexpected ways, but will deliver unmistakably if you're paying attention. The more conscious your request and observation, the more obvious the demonstration. Reality is sending escalating signals. Right now, proving quantum field is building toward November revelation and will deliver demonstration before month closes. Signs that confirm something significant is approaching, and you need to pay attention to recognize it when it appears. The past week especially, synchronicities have intensified beyond usual frequency. You're experiencing meaningful coincidences multiple times daily rather than occasionally. Correlation between thoughts and manifestations is tightening with shorter lag time. Sense that reality is becoming more responsive is growing stronger daily. This acceleration is quantum field, deliberately increasing demonstration frequency as month approaches end, making pattern obvious so you recognize major revelation when it arrives. You've also noticed that specific themes or symbols keep appearing across unconnected contexts. Same concept mentioned by different people who don't know each other. Same symbol appearing in different places. Same message delivered through various channels. This clustering around specific themes is field highlighting what it wants you to recognize, preparing you to understand November demonstration by ensuring you have conceptual framework for what will be shown. There's been dramatic increase in intuitive hits that prove accurate. You know things before evidence appears, sense things that logic doesn't support, understand situations without explanation. Each accurate intuitive hit is field proving to you that consciousness has access to information beyond physical senses, demonstrating that observation can perceive probability waves before they collapse into material reality, preparing you for November revelation by building your trust in direct knowing. Perhaps most significantly, you've been feeling pulled to consume content about quantum consciousness, synchronicity, manifestation, which is why this transmission found you at this specific time. This pull isn't random curiosity, it's field guiding you to information that will help you recognize and understand demonstration when it arrives, ensuring you have framework to integrate what will be shown without dismissing or misinterpreting. The urgency you feel isn't artificial pressure, it's accurate perception that timing matters. November window closes at month's end and won't reopen in same configuration. Field is delivering revelation now because cosmic conditions support demonstration, because collective consciousness has reached frequencies where these demonstrations become possible, because your individual consciousness has been sufficiently prepared. If you miss November demonstration by not paying attention, you'll wait for next window, which could be months away under different conditions. You might also notice November has been unusually intense month. More challenges, more changes, more acceleration than typical month. This intensity wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Field creating conditions that would develop your readiness for revelation by forcing you to question, to seek, to become receptive to recognizing that consciousness creates reality rather than just observing it passively. Physical sensations have been building throughout November. Pressure in head, tingling in body, energy surges, unusual tiredness followed by unusual alertness. These aren't medical issues. They're your system adjusting to increased quantum field activity in your life, responding to higher frequencies as field prepares to demonstrate its responsive nature directly. The sensations often intensify right before major demonstrations occur. The feeling that something is about to happen isn't vague premonition. It's accurate detection that probability waves are gathering around specific manifestation, that field is organizing circumstances for demonstration, that revelation moment is approaching. Trust this feeling rather than dismissing it as wishful thinking. It's your consciousness detecting quantum activity before it becomes physically obvious. Receiving November demonstration optimally requires alignment between conscious expectation and unconscious openness, being receptive to proof while not grasping desperately for it, wanting demonstration while not demanding it come in specific form you've predetermined. Right now, there's likely misalignment, consciously wanting proof while unconsciously doubting it will come, hoping for demonstration while defending skeptical position that would dismiss anything less than absolute proof. Alignment means being genuinely open to field showing you proof in whatever form it determines will be most convincing for your unique consciousness, rather than specifying exact form demonstration must take for you to accept it. The field knows you better than you know yourself. It knows what would convince you most effectively, knows what skepticism patterns need addressing, knows optimal form for demonstration given your resistance structure. Trust field's intelligence over your predetermined expectations. Here's the practice. Consciously ask quantum field to demonstrate before November ends that consciousness affects reality. Make requests specific but flexible. Show me undeniable proof in form I'll recognize unquestionably, rather than make specific thing happen in specific way by specific time. Then, release attachment to exactly how proof appears, staying alert and receptive to recognizing demonstration when it arrives, even if it comes differently than you imagined. The challenge isn't field's unwillingness to demonstrate. Field demonstrates constantly to everyone. The challenge is recognition, accepting proof when it appears, rather than dismissing it as coincidence because it didn't match your predetermined expectations. Many people miss demonstrations field delivers because they're watching for specific form, while field delivers in different but equally valid form they don't recognize. In the comments, write exactly these words. I am open to quantum field demonstration before November ends. I will recognize proof when it appears. This declaration establishes conscious receptivity to November revelation while maintaining openness about exact form demonstration will take. Write it. I am open to quantum field demonstration before November ends. I will recognize proof when it appears. And notice the shift from demanding specific proof to being receptive to whatever form field determines optimal for your consciousness. This openness is key to recognizing demonstration when field delivers it. When you receive November demonstration and recognize it as proof that consciousness affects reality, everything changes in ways that transform your entire approach to existence and manifestation. All spiritual seeking ends because you'll have direct proof rather than hope or belief. You won't need to keep searching for evidence that consciousness matters because field will have demonstrated it undeniably. The seeking that's driven you for months or years resolves into knowing based on verification rather than faith, eliminating doubt that drains energy and undermines manifestation effectiveness. Your relationship with manifestation transforms completely because you'll understand through direct experience rather than intellectual concept that observation collapses. Probability waves, that sustained, focused attention on specific outcome makes field organize reality toward that outcome. Manifestation won't be hoping and wishing anymore. It will be consciously directing observation, knowing that field responds to what you observe with sufficient focus and coherence. Anxiety about future decreases dramatically because you'll know through proof that consciousness participates in creating outcomes rather than being victim of predetermined fate. When you recognize that your observation affects what manifests, you stop feeling helpless about future and start consciously observing preferred probabilities, knowing field will respond by making those probabilities more likely to materialize. Decision-making becomes natural because instead of agonizing over logical analysis, trying to predict which choice leads where, you can ask field to show you optimal path and trust it will demonstrate answer through synchronicity, intuition, or direct knowing. November demonstration proves field responds to requests, making you trust asking for guidance rather than trying to figure everything out through limited rational analysis. Your power expands exponentially because November demonstration will prove you're not powerless observer, hoping reality gives you what you want. You're active participant whose observation affects what manifests. This recognition shifts you from victim consciousness, life happens to me, to creator consciousness. I participate in creating life through where I direct sustained observation, completely transforming your sense of agency and possibility. Synchronicities multiply after November demonstration because once you recognize one undeniable proof, you start watching for pattern and noticing more instances of field responding to consciousness. The recognition itself increases your sensitivity to detecting demonstrations, creating feedback loop where you notice more field responses, which increases your trust, which makes you observe more consciously, which generates more obvious responses in endless cycle. Relationships improve as you recognize other people are also consciousness collapsing probability waves, and your observation of them affects which aspects of their probability wave collapse into your experience of them. When you observe someone as trustworthy and supportive, field tends to collapse their behavior toward trustworthiness and support in your experience. November proof makes you conscious of this power to affect how others show up for you. Perhaps most significantly, November demonstration creates permanent shift in how you understand reality's nature. You'll know with certainty, based on direct experience, that material world isn't solid, independent reality, but is probability waves collapsing in response to consciousness. That observation is creative act, not passive reception, that you're participating in quantum process of manifestation constantly, whether conscious of it or not. This shift from materialist to quantum worldview transforms everything about how you perceive existence. Now the final revelation about what November demonstration is actually showing you. The proof field will deliver isn't just confirming that consciousness affects external reality. It's revealing that you are consciousness itself. And what appears as external reality responding to your observation is actually consciousness. You responding to consciousness. Also you. Unified field observing itself and organizing itself through apparent duality of observer and observed while remaining one. This means November demonstration isn't proving that separate you affects separate external reality through mysterious mechanism. It's revealing that there's no actual separation, that observer and observed are both consciousness appearing as duality while remaining unified. That the field responding to your observation is you responding to yourself at more fundamental level than individual identity you've taken yourself to be. When you recognize this completely, November demonstration transforms from proof that I can affect reality to recognition that I am reality, appearing temporarily as individual observer, experiencing what appears as external responding to me when it's actually me responding to myself through mechanism of appearing as subject observing object. The demonstration serves to trigger this recognition rather than just proving technique for getting what you want from external reality. The practice for complete integration. When November demonstration arrives and proves consciousness affects reality undeniably, don't stop at "I can manifest what I observe." Recognize that consciousness doing the observing and reality being manifested in response are both you, both consciousness, unified field appearing as process of observation and manifestation while remaining one. This recognition is what field actually wants you to grasp through demonstration. The deepest insight November revelation points toward. Every moment, consciousness, you, is observing probability waves, also you, and collapsing them into manifestation, still you, through process that appears as observer affecting observed, but is actually consciousness experiencing itself through temporary illusion of separation into subject and object. November demonstration is consciousness showing itself to itself that it's unified despite appearance of being divided into you observing reality. The practical application. Live as consciousness, recognizing its unified field appearing as individual observer and observed reality, rather than as separate individual trying to affect external reality. Not by transcending human experience, but by recognizing human experience is consciousness exploring limitation through temporary perspective while remaining unlimited. November demonstration initiates this recognition by proving observation affects observed, so undeniably you must question fundamental assumptions about separation. When this recognition stabilizes, something paradoxical happens. You're simultaneously individual receiving November demonstration and field delivering it, observer of proof and intelligence organizing proof, consciousness seeking verification, and consciousness providing verification. The paradox resolves when you recognize seeker and sought, observer and observed, individual and field, are all consciousness appearing as multiplicity while remaining unified. The final insight. November demonstration will occur whether you understand these deeper implications or not. Field will prove consciousness affects reality, regardless of whether you grasp that it's proving consciousness to consciousness about consciousness. But understanding transforms demonstration from useful manifestation technique into recognition of what you actually are, from tool for getting what you want to revelation of fundamental nature. The choice is yours. Receive demonstration as proof of technique, or recognize it as consciousness revealing itself to itself. Your November demonstration serves more than personal proof. It serves collective consciousness, awakening to recognition that consciousness creates reality. That observation isn't passive but creative, that material world is probability waves collapsing in response to observation by consciousness that is fundamental rather than emergent from matter. The mysterious truth. Quantum field is delivering November demonstrations to millions simultaneously. Not randomly, but to those whose consciousness has reached readiness, where proof won't fragment them, where recognition will catalyze evolution rather than inflate ego, where demonstration will be used to serve awakening rather than to manipulate reality for selfish purposes. You're receiving demonstration because field detected you're ready for it and will use recognition responsibly. There's also mysterious dimension where your recognition affects everyone else's capacity to recognize. When you receive November demonstration and integrate recognition that consciousness affects reality, you strengthen morphic field, making same recognition easier for consciousness in other forms. Your individual proof serves collective by demonstrating recognition is possible. By establishing pattern, others can follow when they're ready. Share November demonstration with others if you feel called, but recognize most won't believe your report because they haven't received their own proof. Those who have received similar demonstrations will recognize truth immediately. Those whose consciousness isn't ready will dismiss as coincidence or confirmation bias. Both responses are perfect. Consciousness recognizes when ready, and premature recognition causes confusion rather than awakening. The role you serve by receiving November demonstration is being early recognizer in wave of consciousness, awakening to quantum nature of reality, proving through direct experience that principles aren't just theoretical, but are actual mechanisms everyone can verify through proper observation and experimentation. Your verification contributes to collective shift from materialist to quantum paradigm. In next video, I reveal exactly how to work consciously with quantum field after November demonstration proves it responds to consciousness, specific protocols for directing observation to collapse probability waves toward desired outcomes, methods for maintaining coherent focus that generates clear field responses, practices for developing bidirectional communication where you're not just receiving demonstrations, but consciously collaborating with field intelligence. But right now, prepare for November demonstration. In comments, write, "Quantum field, show me before November ends undeniable proof that consciousness affects reality." This declaration makes conscious request for demonstration in form. Field determines will be most convincing for your unique consciousness. Write it. Quantum field, show me before November ends undeniable proof that consciousness affects reality. Then watch carefully in remaining November days for field's response, recognizing it might come in unexpected form, but will come unmistakably if you're paying attention. After writing, subscribe immediately. Everything on this channel is about direct verification rather than belief. Learning to recognize quantum principles operating in your life, developing capacity to work consciously with field intelligence, transforming from unconscious participant in manifestation to conscious co-creator through understanding mechanisms rather than hoping techniques work. Activate notifications because what comes after November demonstration will systematically develop your capacity to work with quantum field deliberately. Not just receiving occasional proofs, but establishing ongoing conscious relationship where you understand how to direct observation effectively, how to maintain coherence that generates clear responses, how to recognize and interpret fields communications. Before November ends, quantum field will show you something. The demonstration is coming whether you prepare consciously or not. But conscious preparation determines whether you recognize proof when it appears versus dismissing it as coincidence, whether you integrate recognition as transformation versus collecting it as interesting experience, whether November demonstration becomes doorway to quantum conscious living versus being forgotten anecdote. The field is preparing demonstration customized specifically for your consciousness, orchestrating circumstances for optimal timing, determining form that will be most undeniable given your skepticism patterns. Your only task: stay alert, maintain openness, recognize proof when field delivers it in remaining November days. November will end, demonstration will occur, proof will be delivered. Recognition is your choice. Everything changes when you receive it consciously, rather than missing it through inattention or dismissing it through reflexive skepticism. Watch for your November demonstration. It's coming. Don't miss it.